Hey everybody, welcome to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Happy Sunday, you guys. Welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you here. Again, my name is Corey Pujols, your host. And guys, we got a couple things to talk about today. Obviously, the Buccaneers haven't played yet. They play tomorrow night. So there won't be any exaggerated Buccaneers talk like we normally have, guys. We're going to talk about the Jaguars. We'll talk about what went right for them as they improved finally to 2-5. And we'll talk about more of what's going wrong. We'll double down more about what's going wrong in Miami, guys. The Gators, a big win yesterday against Kentucky, put up 48 points. We're going to get into that. The Noles, they suck. Sorry, Noles, it's the truth. Miami, best team in Florida, best team in the ACC, question mark. We'll talk about that. Guys, of course, the return of basketball now that the preseason is wrapping up. We can really get into the mix of what to expect this season, especially with our Miami Heat and Orlando Magic, guys, as they get ready to actually play each other in the first game of the season. Can't wait to talk about that. And in the MLS, obviously, we have the best team in all of soccer, best player in all of soccer. Messi scored 3 goals in their win. Their opponent's going to be determined, so we're going to talk about that, and of course about how Orlando also has an opportunity to pit themselves into that situation of the playoffs as we are now approaching the end of the MLS season, guys. All that and so much more on this week's episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio. Again, my name is Corey Pujols, and keep locked when we get back. We'll get jumping into all of that and so much more. Thank you for joining me here on Palm Tree Sports Radio, guys. Keep locked here for a few more minutes. Sorry about that, guys. I was muted. I am famous for doing that. But listen, guys, welcome back to the show. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Happy Sunday, you guys. I had a great day so far today. Went to church this morning. I went to my sister's house after that, had a great meal with them. So shout out to those guys, my family, and the church members for making today such a wonderful day, guys. And of course, with Sunday comes NFL football. It's actually one of my favorite traditions. I go from church directly into football mode. So as soon as I get off the church grounds, it's like, go Bucks, you know, shirt on. But guys, for today's show, again, we're going to talk about what went right for Tampa Bay last week as we channel our focus over to the Ravens. This is going to be one of the best games of the season. It could be the game of the season so far this year. You guys aren't going to want to miss it over on Monday Night Football. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's going on with obviously the rest of the NFL as far as the Jaguars and the Fins go. Both of those teams are underperforming right now this year. We'll talk about what's causing that to be the case for the Jaguars. Two totally different things for both of these franchises, and that's what really makes it unique. And I can't wait to get into the details about that. With the return of the NBA to regular season mode comes the return of the Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic. Guys, they're going to play each other in the first game of the season, so I can't wait to see that game. Both of those teams made the playoffs, so this is going to be a fun topic. We're going to kind of conjoin both of those teams together since they are playing each other for the first game of the season, and also think that's a great first game, at least out of the East, to be concerned. So can't wait to talk talk about that, guys. And of course, the MLS, right? So obviously, we have the best team in soccer right now with Inter Miami. So that's going to be a fun deal. And of course, the Orlando City, who really came out of nowhere here in the second half of this season. And they dropped their last game, against Atlanta, but we'll get into that and talk about exactly what they can do moving forward. But all eyes on Messi right now. So get ready for that, guys, and so much more on this week's episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio. But first things first, guys, if you guys did not know already, you guys can follow us over at on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you're at, you guys. If you want to follow our social accounts, guys, this is going to be the place to do it. It's going to be at IE Sports Radio. Of course, that is for the social. For the shows themselves, guys, you can find them all over the place: Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, our Google, Amazon, etc. Whatever you guys are looking for, you can find all of our shows. IE Sports Radio is the family name, and then of course, the other shows are going to have their individual names. Mine's being Palm Tree Sports Radio, which is what you're listening to right now, you guys. Over at IESportsRadio.com, this is going to be the universal hub. This is going to be the location that you can find every bit of information for every show that we have. Of course, things section off like a family tree. So whatever show it is you're looking for, whatever state it is that you're looking for, shall be covered. This is going to be the place to find it, and also the best place to look as far as anything else for your show is concerned. Like, with that being said, that might be for the subsidiary shows, college sports, etc. So keep that in mind, guys, in case you're looking for another show like this one, and then for the iSports Radio /shop, guys. So this is going to be where you get your apparel. This is when you get t-shirts. This is where you're going to get your hats. This is when you get whatever it is that you're looking for. That logo on IE Sports Radio. It's a big family here, and this is going to be an example of that. You carry with yourself wherever you go. Of course, I'm always repping my teams, guys. Always, always, always. I was thinking about wearing a Gator shirt, but I was like, no, Bucks haven't played yet. They got to play the Ravens. I want to channel some positivity their way, especially this is going to be a home game, right? So since this is going to be a home game, I'm really hoping that this representation doesn't go unnoticed. Now, moving forward, guys, for the specifics of the show, Palm Tree Sports Radio is going to be www.isportsradio.com/Palm Tree Sports for my specific show. Guys, that's going to be the website link to everything, all Palm Tree Sports, if you're looking for that, guys. If you're looking for it on the social media platform, it's going to be at @palmtree_IE. The underscore is very important, so don't forget that when typing it in, especially on Twitter, you guys. And that's where a lot of the work gets done. I think that we are very, very prominent there, and as far as all the other social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, etc., guys. And for my specific handle, guys, if you're looking for me, I am at Pujols Corey. That is correct. Pujols, like the baseball player. Corey being the first name. Shout out moms. She did name me after all, right? But yeah, that's it for our socials, guys. Come holler at us at any point in time throughout the show. But for the time being, let's go ahead and get started with our sponsors for the evening. So our two sponsors are going to be Planet Jerky, the beef jerky that's on a whole nother planet, guys. And then, of course, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by our very own Cecilia B, guys. So a message from them very quickly, and we'll be right back and get started into the show. But first things first, again, a message from our sponsors, starting with Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole nother planet.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Just in case you guys made it in, welcome. Happy Sunday. As I said before, I had a wonderful Sunday today. I really enjoy days like today. It was beautiful. Weather was absolutely just wonderful after the hurricane. Guys, we're doing a great job after the hurricane. By the way, for those of you who remember, Hurricane Milton came in right after Hurricane Helene. Both storms hit us pretty hard. Second one, much harder, probably about 3 or 4 times harder than the first one did. But luckily, we're doing good. Everybody's up with power, food, water. There had been many people that were evacuated. My auntie was one of the people. She had to be, her and her family had to be safe. So I love you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. But the city has done an amazing job getting out material, food, etc., out to the people who need it. And so for that, I can't thank the city enough. So City of Tampa Bay, thank you so much for everything that you have been able to do. And I just really hope that everybody's okay and that we're done with storms, hopefully, for the rest of the year. But obviously, there's a couple of storms out there. So for anybody in the southeastern quadrant of the United States, just take that in consideration. There still are storms out there, but we're doing well. We're blessed. And I hope that we continue to stay blessed, guys. That is the message of the day as far as that's concerned. Before we get started and jumping into everything sports related coming out of the Sunshine State, let's go ahead and jump into the comments. You guys know I love to do this right here. Team Ron always starting it off with just some serious positivity and some serious love. I always appreciate that from you. Let's have an amazing show. Absolutely, guys. Let's definitely have an amazing show. Dad, it's always good to see you in there. And I couldn't say it any better. If you guys ever wondered where my love for sports my love for the Gators and the Buccaneers come from, none other than my very own father right here. And as you say, and as we say here in the state of Florida, it's great to be a Florida Gator with a W at homecoming. Shout out to the blue and orange. Ready for Monday Night Football? Yes, absolutely, guys. So here's the deal. I'm always terrified of Monday Night Football because the Bucs don't play well. They play well on Sunday Night Football, but Monday and Thursday night games, historically, we just have not been that good, guys. It's a very uneven ratio, if you will. But yes, I am still super excited. This is actually the second time in 4 years, I think it is, that the Bucs will be playing the Ravens at a primetime non-Sunday game. Isn't that weird? I think the last one was a Thursday night game, if I remember correctly. So that's just an interesting little concept right there. The Bucs and the Ravens always seem to meet at the most awkward times, right? Larry B, the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, full squad in today. I love to see it, you guys. It's always a pleasure to have you guys on the show. Couldn't do this without you guys. No doubt about it, and, so I love this, T-Rod. So yeah, I think, listen, here's the thing. I'm going to say this on the show. I'm a Gator, but I personally actually picked Kentucky to win this game because we had that stretch where the Gators beat Kentucky so many years in a row. And I just thought Kentucky was riding the ship and we were kind of paying for that on the back end. And I thought that this year Billy Napier was really setting up his team kind of for failure a little bit. So I was thinking this was going to be one of those games that kind of fed the fire, but it was the opposite, right? Like it was a counterpunch, and it was a great counterpunch. We'll talk about that when we get to the college football portion. But man, that was an exciting game to watch. I was very happy to watch it, and we'll see what it was that made that team successful yesterday, actually, and definitely get into that, of course. So shout out to you guys for being in the comments. Jojo, hey, Jojo's good to see you. Yes, absolutely. Let's crush the show. Let's have a wonderful time. It's all about you. A shout out to Miami, man. Let me tell you something. That was a team we were concerned about a little bit. Just wasn't sure if they were going to have any identity. And dude, they have the identity of all the teams in Florida, don't they? I mean, they've got the recipes for success. This is a what I would call a Greek lesson in the transfer portal. And when I say Greek lesson, I mean, you guys know learning Greek is a hard. That's not an easy, or any foreign language, right? Especially from not the Americas. It's like that. It's tough, but they did it. And when you do it, you get the best possible result, which is a 7-0 start for the Canes. So we're definitely going to talk about that. And then Adam, Dad said you're going to be in here, and I'm glad that you are. It's good to see you too, my man. Dude, I really can't stress it enough how positive it is to see you guys in on the show and see your feedback. So keep feeding it to me, guys. If you have something, if you have an opinion, let me know what it is. I want to talk about it. I have some space for this evening. So matter of fact, let's go ahead and get into everything and let's take it from the top, right, guys? Okay, so first things first, guys, Bucks, right? So Bucks football right now is in a very, very beautiful spot, right? So like let's address the first thing. We talked about this last week. The Buccaneers 51 points against the Saints. How good does that feel, right? So as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, just like in any other sport, if you have a team, there's a legitimate rival to that team. For the Bucks, the Saints would be the number one rival. This is the team we hate the most. Losing to Atlanta is one thing, and I hate it, and I hate the Atlanta Falcons, but they never won a Super Bowl. They're not like a threat from the standpoint of taking the franchise seriously. Not that they can't win. They could win. They just didn't. They're 0-2 in Super Bowls. They lost to the Broncos and they lost to the Patriots in both the Super Bowls that they played. Both of them were heartbreaking Super Bowls. The first one, I think it was like a 52-17 ball game to the Broncos. That was one of the two Broncos teams that won back-to-back Super Bowls there in the late 90s. Terrell Davis, and all those guys. There were other guys. I wasn't the biggest John Elway fan, but TD was, phenomenal along with the rest of that team. That defense, Steve Atwater, and all those guys there flying around the football. So great Broncos team, obviously, but Atlanta came up short there. And then the second one was against the Patriots. So when you look at Atlanta and you look at the Bucks, and the Bucks won both the Super Bowls they went to, and I'm so thankful for that, to be able to have seen that in my lifetime. It's just not that big of a deal versus the Saints, right? So the Saints, Drew Brees, they won their Super Bowl against the Colts. It was. And that was like one of those times where you realize, dang, there's another team in our division that can win a Super Bowl, right? Like this isn't the NFC East where like everybody has a Super Bowl, right? Though only two teams have won Super Bowls in the NFC South, but the Buccaneers have won the most, and it's something to be thankful for. But you look at the Saints, you're kind of like, you're not catching us. Like we're not giving you that, and that's kind of that rivalry that's there. And then of course the Saints are just also they're a dirty team, right? Atlanta and both the Saints are dirty. I wouldn't call Carolina a dirty team. They never really play dirty. I've never watched them play dirty. But the Saints, man, you had the bounty scandal all those years ago, and then now you have just the way they play. They're a physical team. Let's just call it like what it is. They're a very physical team, but they don't really check themselves. They just play. And the maturity of the NFL is that you got to check yourself, right? It's the same thing in college, but more so in the NFL because they're professionals. So, but 51 points is no small feat. 594 yards total offense, guys. Still watching the highlights from that game, for the record, just so you know, still watching the highlights for that game. But that was last week. This week, they have the Ravens. Now, they have the Ravens at home. The significance behind that is that, guys, these quietly are quite possibly the two best teams in the NFL right now. And I get it, right? Like they're 4-2. There's no way there are undefeated teams out there. Minnesota just lost. They lost to the Lions. Buccaneers beat the Lions. So there's that. And then, of course, you have the Ravens. Yeah, they started 0-2, but they started 0-2. And then they started doing what the Ravens do, and that's run the football. How about that one? Yeah. Best rushing attack over the last 5-6 years. Since Lamar's been in the league, this guy's been an absolute just stud. I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. I watched him in college, actually. I became a Lamar Jackson fan in high school. If you guys saw that clip of him running the ball into the end zone and then him stopping real short and then handing the ball off and going like this after the dude like slides past the camera. If you guys remember that highlight, that was Lamar Jackson. Been a big fan of his since then. Watched him all throughout college. He was one of the few people to defeat the that FSU team that was playing such good football all those years ago. So yeah, big Lamar Jackson fan. The tight end Andrews played with Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma, if I remember correctly. So they have a friendship. They're actually best friends, as it turns out. And then, of course, you got Derrick Henry, right? No stranger to Derrick Henry. Watched him in Alabama for 4 years. Stud, to say the least. I mean, just an absolute stud muffin. But then again, so are the Buccaneers, right? We have a few studs of our own, and I'm going to start with Vita Vea. I think Vita Vea is definitely going to, if he plays the majority of the night, I think the Buccaneers will be able to stifle this run offense. Yes, Derrick Henry is a big guy. He's a strong guy. They have a great offensive line, but that's nothing new. Tampa Bay is used to playing against great running backs. Alvin Kamara, for example, is one of them. So I don't think that the Buccaneers get blown away in this game. As a matter of fact, I think the Bucs can win. I think that there are a couple of keys to victory. So let's just go ahead and get into that, right? So the first key to victory is going to be stop the run, right? So the Buccaneers have been one of the best, if not the best team over the last 6 or so years at stopping the run. And having big Vita Vea there in the middle is a big part of that. Before Vita Vea was there, there were some big guys there, but the most notable, Ndamukong Suh was probably our best defensive lineman at one point in time. And Vita really started to come into his own. He eats up a lot of double teams. He really makes it hard for the A-gap to be exercised. But we are also able to flip the field and put him on the outside and sometimes have him blitz from the edge. And that's something that I really, really like. You guys have to see it. You really have to see it to believe it. It really creates issues for the quarterback because it's an inherent one-on-one. You can slide somebody over, but at that point, odds are Todd Bowles has a free blitzer coming your way. So that's just one of the things to take into consideration when you talk about why this run defense is so good. Big number 50, Vita Vea, man, he's the reason for that. And then, of course, we have some great run-stopping linebackers. Levante David at the second level is as good as it gets as linebacker. He's the best linebacker we have had since Derek Brooks. There's no shorting that. Double nickel into 54, you can just see the comparisons. This guy is just an absolute monster from sideline to sideline. I think that he's quietly one of the best linebackers in the league. I think he's the top 5 linebacker in my opinion. You can take it or leave it, but just do your homework. Just look at what the guys accounted for. Look at the consistency. 13, 14 years into the league, this guy's still playing phenomenal football, and I just love him being the heart and soul of this defense. And then, of course, crashing downhill, we have the best safety tandem in the NFL, guys. Jordan Whitehead, of course, on one end, and on the other hand, we have the best safety in football, in Antoine Winfield Jr., back from injury last week, but made his presence felt with some passes defended and a fumble recovery return for a touchdown. Picking up right where he left off at MVP level type defense from the safety position. The guy's just an absolute monster out of Minnesota, and I'm super glad to have these guys on the team. Take consideration, guys. Aside from a few of these football players on the Buccaneers roster, everybody was drafted. So Jason Light just doing a phenomenal job. But another team who drafts very, very well historically is the Baltimore Ravens, and they yet again will be traveling into Tampa Bay to take on the 4-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 4-2 be the record for the Ravens as well. This game takes place tomorrow night, 8:15 p.m., guys. So it's going to be primetime football, Buccaneers, Ravens. Again, I think this is going to be the best game of the season. I don't know what the score is going to be. I think the Bucs win this game. I think the Ravens defense is really, really good. I don't know if it's as good as it was last year, and I think that could be the differential in this game. I fully suspect Baker to be on the smelling salts and just, dialed in, focused. If he's able to do that, if our receivers are able to stretch the field, if Mike Evans is able to come in here healthy, because he is hurt for the record, guys. I'll pause a sec. Mike Evans is hurt. He did tweak something. He's listed as questionable, but realistically speaking, this guy could play. If he could play at 50% of his full tilt, he could still get a good 50, 60 yards in, maybe a touchdown, and just be enough to kind of draw Kyle Hamilton's vision. If we could do that, obviously Chris Godwin he's just an absolute stud. He's perhaps the best receiver in the league at the moment. I have him number 2 in the league, but it's a toss-up right now. Definitely the best third down receiver in the league. He's just all over the place, and he's Mr. Utility. He can do it all. I really hope that both of those receivers stay Buccaneers for the rest of their careers. Anything less than that would be a mutiny aboard our ship. So best run offense, best run defense, who wins? Historically, it's been best run defense, but we'll have to wait and see, right? Because obviously the run defense wins because it starts to force you to throw the ball late. But good teams stay disciplined and they continue to run the ball, especially if they have a great defense. So that's what to expect for tomorrow night in the Bucs game. Bucs-Ravens game, always a great game. I always love when these two teams hook it up. And these are two of my mom's favorite teams as well also. So shout out to you, Mom. Both of your two of your favorite teams are going to be playing tomorrow night. I know she'll be watching that game. Next 2 games for the Buccaneers are going to be next 3 games against the Buccaneers are going to be the Falcons, the Chiefs, and the 49ers. So 3 relatively hard games that are going to follow this one. This week and next week against the Falcons, the Buccaneers are home. That's the good part, but I believe that they are away for the next 2 weeks after that. So that's going to be very rough, especially traveling to, well, Arrowhead it's a difficult place to play. There's no doubt about it. The Chiefs, they get a lot of help. Sorry, if you watch a Chiefs game, you know what I'm saying. It is what it is. But yeah, the Niners game is going to be a very interesting game. The Buccaneers always seem to struggle whenever they have to go to San Francisco. I remember back when it used to be called Candlestick. I miss it being called Candlestick, actually. But I remember, way back then, they could not win a game against the Niners back when it was Candlestick. So I look at that history and I just say, hopefully the Buccaneers come with a different mentality, a different form of playing football at San Francisco than they have had throughout history. But this team is it's beatable. The 49ers are beatable. I fully expect the Buccaneers to go 2-1 through this 3-game stretch, getting some vindication against the Falcons. I don't know if anybody's going to beat the Chiefs this year. They have the referees in their back pocket. Yeah, I said it, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully they can. It's always good to be able to beat Patrick Mahomes and those boys, but we just have to wait and see. But it's just 3 tough games back to back to back. So the Gators aren't the only one that's going to have a gauntlet moving forward, guys. But yeah, that's what's going on for the Buccaneers, guys. Like I said, questionable be listed. Mike Evans, if you had him on fantasy, I'd take him off fantasy just because of that. Obviously, if things get worse for him, they're going to sit him. We're not going to play him hurt. There's no need to do that. So just keep that in consideration for the Buccaneers game against the Ravens, guys. Back over to the chat. Yeah, okay. So real quick, Dad, I think you're right on the money. I think that Godwin and Mayfield's best connection in the NFL, especially on third down, and third down is your money down, right? That's where you make all your money. So I would agree with that one 100%. Let's see. Yeah, man, I think we're in for a big game between Baker and Godwin. The problem is what JoJo said. Henry trained, man. He's probably the best running back in the NFL over the last 4 weeks. Okay. And I'm saying that with conviction because I'm thinking about it as I'm saying, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know if there's somebody else I could say that's running the football better. But the Ravens, again, best rushing attack in the NFL, and average over the last 6 years have been the best rushing attack in the NFL. So it doesn't surprise me that obviously this game could be one of those. It could be a close game or it's a blowout. It's probably not going to be a tweener, right? Like it's probably not going to be like a random 14-point game, right? Like time of possession is going to be everything, right? So I don't think the Buccaneers are going to try to allow the big play. And what I mean by try to allow the big play is we have a great rushing attack, but there have been holes in the past, okay? So that's what I'm concerned about. But Derrick Henry only needs a hole to turn it into a 90-yard run, 99-yard run, whatever. We've seen him do it so many times. So just take that in consideration when we're viewing that game. But I think we have, like you said, that we do have to limit Lamar Jackson. I'll put that right here, actually. Got to limit Lamar Jackson. You can't stop him. You can only contain him. And it's true. When you try to take him out of the game, he gets better. And it's the same thing with Baker Mayfield. But Lamar Jackson is a natural runner. Baker Mayfield is somebody who worked hard to get to where he got to. And yes, he has the skills to do it, and he can do it. I just don't think Baker outrushes Lamar in a situation where you need to extend the play, right? That doesn't mean he can't do it. He can. I just don't think, because the Ravens have a great defense, right? Like, we're talking about another great defensive team. Both of these teams are coming in here. The difference is the Buccaneers have the better pass offense and the Ravens have the better rush offense. And that's really what we're gonna have to see how that plays itself out, and that will determine who the victor of that game is going to be, guys. But we've talked enough about Tampa Bay, guys. Let's go ahead and move on over to the Jaguars. So the Jaguars collected a win finally. We've been waiting for that. So the Jaguars played the Patriots today. They won that game by a score of 32-16, doubling basically the point total that the Patriots are able to get to. They did that behind Tank Bigsby. Okay, so Tank Bigsby was the reason for this win. Not to be outdone, T-Law protected the football. He goes 15-25 for 193 yards and a touchdown, but those are relative stats. This team ran the football very, very well. I believe it was 26 carries there for Tank Bigsby, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's going to spell victory for you 7-8 times out of 10. The 2 times it doesn't, it's because something that was supposed to happen happened, obviously. But the Jaguars walk away with a win. They're able to move to 2-5 finally on the season. it doesn't look good for the Jags, but you got to start somewhere. And I'm a big believer of that. I personally thought this team was going to be the team that tried to run the football more, and they've just failed there in that aspect of doing so. I think that they have some O-line issues between the pass protection and rush protection. When you're moving forward, it shouldn't be as hard when you have more personnel than the defensive line does. The problem is with that is in pass protection, you get away with it because you're moving back, right? So in pass protection, with somebody, especially like T-Law, somebody who can scramble if necessary, and he needs to do a little bit better job of that, of course. He had 2 carries for 13 yards, I think it was on that during that game. And you get what I mean when I say that, right? Because there are going to be times where as a quarterback, you may not want to be a rushing quarterback, but come on, Tom Brady has over 1,000 yards career rushing. Come on. Like, you're going to have to. There are going to be times where you got to be efficient. I think that's something that T-Law needs to work on. And I think the better that he gets at that, the more comfortable he can be in the pocket. That's something we've seen from Baker. I actually saw an interview where Baker said that. He said he looked at last year's tape and he said, hey, listen, there were just times where I should have just took off with the ball and I didn't. I'm doing that now because I can see that that sometimes you got to call your own number. And that's the truth. And I think that T-Law has to get better at calling his own number. I think he needs to get better at his decision-making between the hill crashing down on him and when he has space to run. For me, that's been the biggest issue. And I think that aside from staying healthy, if he could do that, he'd be even a better a quarterback for the Jaguars. But it's just some food for thought from the Jaguars' perspective, guys. If you've watched him play football, you know what I'm saying is true. He's just got to be more decisive with his decision-making. But today he was saved by the rushing attack. Again, 26 carries, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns for Take Bigsby. Big day for him. Congratulations to the young man. I believe he's a rookie this year. So when you look at that thing, that offense, I should say that thing, but that offensive line, if they can just continue what they did today, right? More of today, and they'll find a lot of success. So their next game is going to be against the Packers. That's going to be a tough one. Packers coming in here 5-2, one of the best teams in the NFC right now. It was only a matter of time before they got the ball rolling. They're in the hardest division in football right now. When you look at that division right now, they're actually sitting at third at 5-2. You have Minnesota and the Lions both ahead of them at 6-1. They're playing phenomenal football, all three of these teams. It's incredible. It's truly incredible to see what's going on there in the NFC North. I can't wait to see how that division plays itself out. I've always been impartial to that division. I do love the Packers. I have a lot of love for them. I have some love for the Vikings as well. So it's going to be great to see what happens there. But I just don't see the Vikings. I didn't see them staying hot for that long. And of course, the division foe is the perfect team to kind of show the blemish on their record. So with that being said, and with the Packers playing at such a high level right now in a high level division, I just don't see the Jaguars beating the Packers right now, whether it's at home or away. For me, it just doesn't matter. I think the Packers match up very well. I think that Jordan Love is quietly one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And I think that Packers team is just, they're playing with a confidence that they haven't had at the beginning of the season, I should say they didn't have it, but now in the last few weeks, they are definitely playing Packer football the way that they should be. And as a result, I think that the Jaguars will not be able to find the W there against the Packers. But that game is going to be Sunday, October 27th at 1 p.m. If you want to check it out, guys. Jaguars, Packers be that game. The Finns have a completely different issue. Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. So the Finns, their issue is they don't have a quarterback. That's the problem, right? So Tyler Huntley got injured today. Miami injury. That's the quarterback development for Miami over the last 3 years, okay? They get a quarterback, they get hurt. They get another quarterback, gets hurt. I mean, they've signed more quarterbacks from their practice squad to the active roster than any other team in the NFL over the last 4 years. So just take that in consideration when Tua is supposed to be leading that team, okay? Like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. They lost to the Colts today, 16-10. I don't know what to tell you. Can Tua save the season? Let's just cut right to the stress. Can Tua save the season? I don't know. He's coming off of another bad concussion. It was a low-impact concussion, and those are the ones that really scare you because it's like, okay, so how fragile is this guy? I don't know, and it's scaring me. Can Tua save the season? I want to say he can. His numbers say he can save the season. My confidence does not say that. My confidence, speaking from my heart, I think that this is going to be something that kind of follows him. I think he plays scared moving forward because let's just face it, right? Like, 2 concussions is one thing. A third concussion within 365 days is alarming, and it's matter of fact, it's beyond alarming. I don't think he should be playing football, but that's just my opinion. I've said that already. I don't think he can save the season. I think this season's shot. I think there's a lot of work to be done. 2-4 is the record for the Finns. After losing that game to the Colts improved to 4-3. Huntley's injury is academic at this point. He was playing very well, 93 yards passing, a touchdown before he left the game. Boyle comes in, couldn't hack it. I think Miami's kind of dead in the water right now. I hate to say it, and I know I seem a little dumbed down and watered down at the moment, but it's really hard because the situation that they're facing isn't just an injury, right? Like, we're talking about this young man's future. I've said that over the last few weeks, but realistically speaking, even if he does play, how is he going to fare mentally? How is he going to handle knowing that there's going to be pressure coming after him and that these guys are just doing their job? It's not like they're trying to hurt him or injure him at this point. They're just doing their job. Next game for Miami is going to be against the Cardinals. They're also 2-4. They're not playing very good football. That game's going to be Sunday, October 27th, guys, 1 p.m. start time for that game. Both of those games going to be 1 p.m. start time for the Jags and the Finns, guys. Again, Bucs next game is going to be against the Falcons Sunday, October 27th at 1 p.m. as well. So you got 3 game start time for all the Florida teams. But again, that's the following week. This week they have the Ravens. I apologize for that demeanor drop there. I just now, the more you think about it, the more you say, listen, like I said, it's a scary thing. 3 concussions in a 365 day period day period is something to really sit down and think about. That's just my opinion, guys. But Tua that's correct, Dad. He did start to practice, and he will be returning there for Week 8. That is the synopsis, guys, for all of you who are waiting for the Tua return. He is returning next week. I hope he plays well. I hope he doesn't get hurt. Best of luck to him. Best of luck to Miami moving forward, but I don't think he's the answer. Okay, back to the chat, guys. Let's liven up a little bit. Let's liven up back to the chat. Okay, a couple of updates. Yes, excellent. Okay, thank you, Dad. Jets beating the Steelers. That is a bit of a surprise. 15-6 be the score of that game, guys, just in case you were eyeballing. Baker plays like Grizzly, a nasty though. Yep, I love it. He's a dog, man. If you guys been watching the show long enough, I've been defending Baker since we got him. I defended him when he was in Cleveland. I think that he's showing exactly who he is, and that is somebody that can truly be successful if you just put a little bit of trust in there. Just put a little bit of trust, let him do his thing, and everything will be okay. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. Last year was just a crazy year, but it was also a first year start for Baker Mayfield with this brand new team, new offensive coordinator. Now he has another I can't say another new offensive coordinator because he worked with Liam Cohen there in LA with the Rams. So, I think that Baker is playing phenomenal football. Any given time, he's the best quarterback in the NFL, guys. And this game against the Ravens will tell us just how good he is, especially now that we're approaching the midway part of the season, guys. Super excited to see this game against the Ravens. Let's see here. What I saw the North is the Bears could get to 5-2 next week and still be in 4th place in the division. That is such an incredible take there, Adam, and I love it. So I hope that they do get to 5-2. I would love to just take a screenshot and just kind of hold that image of the NFC North possibly being a bunch of 2-loss teams, especially if the Lions and the Minnesota Vikings lose again. Just take that in consideration, guys, that we could be sitting here watching a division with complete 2-loss teams at 8 games into the season. That's absolutely unheard of. The NFC North is just absolutely amazing right now. I'm humming with enthusiasm as far as that North is concerned right now, because it's the best they've looked in 50 years. Honestly, this is the best the NFC North has looked in about 50 years, guys. This is incredible and unprecedented. I'm just gonna laugh at that one. No, I understand. I truly understand. But I'm a Bucs guy, so having love for them just kind of comes from the rivalry that they had, especially when you look at Favre and you look at Sapp all those years ago. Man, they played some great football back in the day. But I'm showing my age a little bit, right? I am a 90s baby. We don't got a Rays baseball, so shout out to the Dodgers. I like the Dodgers, so I appreciate that, Dad. That's good. Whew. Mom's a Yankees fan, so there's that. You really can't argue with that, right? Let's see. Yeah, I agree. When the first thing to go on any ship that falls apart is the captain, right? So just take that in consideration from a naval perspective, right? So, I don't think he's the answer either. I agree, JoJo. I agree 100%. Adam, Lions and Vikings only have one loss each right now and have light schedules. Of course they got light schedules. I was hoping that they'd have to play somebody tough and have a division full of 2 loss teams. I just think that would be so cool because now it's just like a roll of the dice at that point, right? Like it's just who's gonna outlast who. It looks like the SEC, right? Like that. I think that's what I love about it. See, look at that. That's perfect. I think it's because it looks like the SEC does. You look at the SEC right now, you have like one undefeated and then like a whole bunch of 1 and 2 loss teams, but they're all good, right? They're all ranked and they're all good. So, but yeah, we all agree. We all agree on the NFC North. It's such a great division, guys. Okay, so anyway, that's enough of that, guys. Let's go ahead and get to our first break of the evening. When we get back, we're going to go ahead and jump into college football, and then we'll go down the line to the NBA and the MLS, and we'll wrap it up with some food for thought, guys. But thank you for having it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name has been Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Like I said, guys, keep it locked here. We'll be back here in a matter of moments, but until then, check this out.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Buffalo sports? Are you thinking of changing loyalties and becoming a Buffalo sports fan? Do you even know where Buffalo is on the map? Did you know Canada is closer to Buffalo than New York City? Welcome to the Buffalo Huddle, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Patty Bax. This is a podcast designed for you, the passionate sports fan. I know you love your sports. Who doesn't? I cover Buffalo sports and so much more by bringing in the human elements. I call it Buffalo sports with a twist. Join me as we take a journey into the world of Buffalo sports. I guarantee you'll fall in love with Buffalo just like I did. Each week we start with an inspiration, question of the day, a Buffalo fun fact, and our weekly challenge to you, the listener. Come huddle up with me every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time for the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we say in Buffalo, go Bills!
And just like that, we're back here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that are sports. Welcome back, you guys. You know, sports for me growing up was more of an outlet. It was a way for me to get my energy. I was a very highly energetic kid when I was younger. And I see that a lot in my son. I have a son. He's 3 years old. He's my everything. And he just reminds me so much of myself growing up, you know, running in the tables and playing ball in the house when you're not supposed to, doing all that thing. He's in his Hot Wheels stage right now. And, you know, I love it. I love being a father. But I just seeing so much in him. He's got such a burst of speed. He's got great reflex. He's pretty strong. He's ambidextrous. I can't wait to see how he turns out because I would love for him to get into football, into sports. He would be the third, fourth generation of athlete in my family, specifically on my dad's side, and I think as well third generation on my mom's side. So just some pretty cool stuff there going on with him, and watching him develop, you know, into a lover for sports because he likes to kick the soccer ball, he likes to shoot the basketball. He was dunking yesterday, so you know, super proud dad moment there. But I'm pretty sure it's the same for you guys. But you know, it just thinking about that. Brings me back to my love for the Gators, and that's exactly who we're going to talk about right now, guys. So my Florida Gators, I started watching them when I was 4 years old. And the very first football game I ever saw was the Florida Gators versus the Tennessee Volunteers, okay? Like I said, I was 4 years old. The Florida Gators won that game. I believe Peyton Manning was at quarterback. And from that point forward, blue and orange basically meant everything to me. I can't articulate the love that I have for that team. I can't. And they did such a great job yesterday. They were able to beat the Kentucky Wildcats by a score of 48-20. An absolute dismantling of a team that we have had a hard time with in recent years. I believe it is that they won 4 of the last 6 against the Gators, including the 2 last home games for the Gators. That is not a normal thing. The University of Florida prides itself on the Swamp being one of the hardest places to play football at Steve Spurrier Field. And when you take that in consideration, you look at how Kentucky has done so well after that 34-year straight couldn't beat Florida thing. For the record, I'm 30. So that means at that point, I had never witnessed, ever in my life, once witnessed the Florida Gators losing to the Kentucky Wildcats. Excuse me, my apologies, Kentucky Wildcats. So you could kind of take away from that what you will. For me, it hurt, but it was just weird. You know, it was just really, really weird to see the Florida Gators lose to them. But they didn't lose last night. Jaden Ball had 5 rushing touchdowns, also accounted for 108 yards rushing, I believe it was, but 5 rushing touchdowns, tying the Tim Tebow and Trey Burton record of 5 touchdowns, which is the most in Florida Gators history. Trey Burton did that twice at Florida. Tim Tebow, I believe, did it once at Florida while he was here. So, you know, amazing, just absolutely amazing. Jaden Ball, game ball goes to you. You played, you know, phenomenal. DJ Lagway, easier night, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Didn't really have to do a lot. Relied heavily on the run game during this game. Obviously, Jaden Ball wasn't the only one who touched the ball. Also, Jerry Jackson actually had a couple of carries as well. So shout out to that Gator run game, that offensive line that just made things happen, made holes open up against a very good, very tough Kentucky Wildcat defensive line. So congratulations, Gators. Super proud of what they're able to accomplish there against University of Kentucky. They moved to 4-3 on the season, putting them in position to be bowl eligible. Here's the thing. We can beat Florida State. We will beat Florida State. So that's 5-3. Where's the other win going to come from? And that's really what I want to talk to you guys about. Okay. This is why the SEC is the SEC. And I take tremendous pride in the love that I have for the SEC. It starts with the Florida Gators, but it stretches out not just in the East, but to the West. Got a lot of love for some of these teams. Super proud for Vanderbilt and how they're performing this year. They're playing extremely well for a change. Of course, you have Texas. I'm a huge Longhorns fan. Alabama, LSU. I'm also an LSU fan. I love both of those colleges very, very much. Oklahoma also joining the SEC is just huge. Love having the Red River rivalry here. Auburn, I'm very impartial to Auburn. I like that team as well. There's just so many teams that are either loved or good in the SEC, and that's just one of the things that you really pay attention to. But moving forward, the Gators, this is the stretch that everybody was concerned about at the University of Florida. Now, if you take away Kentucky, who was, I believe, ranked at the start of the season, the Gators have to play number 5 Texas, Hold on. They got to play number 2 Georgia next week, fresh off of their victory beating Texas. Then we got to go play Texas the following week. Then we got to go play LSU, 8th ranked LSU, the following week, and then 18th ranked Ole Miss after that. That is the next 4 games for the Florida Gators. My gut says the next win comes because in the next few weeks, Ole Miss suffers a loss and they become a little bit more vulnerable. And I think that the Gators, even though they may not play well against Georgia, I think that the Gators may get a stroke of luck against Texas. I think this Florida-Texas game is something that's been long overdue. And I think that the Gators come out and play spirited football. Georgia's just a different ball game. Georgia, I knew Georgia was going to have the answers to Texas. I'm a Texas fan. I respect Georgia, but I'm not a Georgia fan. I knew Texas was they were going to be in for a serious game, and they were. Georgia did exactly what I expect them to do, and that was start fast. And just that's exactly what I said they would do. Dad, you know this. We talked about it. But I thought that Georgia would start fast, and I said that if Texas was going to have a chance, it was going to be Arch Manning. And they started Ewers, and they kind of paid for it, I think. I hate to say it that way, but I think they paid for it. It is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. They're in the SEC, so better luck next year is going to be pretty much the only way to look at that situation. But for the Gators, they have a gauntlet to run through. It's going to be hellacious. It's going to be terrible. I don't know what to expect or what to make of it. Go Gators. Go Gators. I mean, it's always great to be a Florida Gator, but right now it's not the most healthy thing. It's not the most healthy thing. Okay, let's see. Let's talk chat. What we got, chat? What we got? Vandy ranked now. Hearts out to Vandy. Congratulations, Vandy. You guys have been through so much over the last 20 years, and they deserve this, and I'm so proud of them. It took them so much to get here. And, I remember those days when Vandy used to go, 2-10 on the season or 2-9 on the season, my bad. And that was their culture for a long time. So, congratulations to Vandy. Super proud of them and just super happy for that team, man. Super happy for that team. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because they still have Minnesota listed over Detroit, but yeah, Detroit, they're top of the division now. There's no doubt about that. Cooper found the right home in Buffalo. I agree. I think that it's because he has a confident quarterback, and he has a confident quarterback that wants to get him the football. I think that's what it comes down to. It's not like, oh, Cooper's the best receiver that we have, and we have to try to force the ball to him. It's more like you have a guy who can sit back there and make it and get it done, throwing or running the ball. I mean, Josh Allen's one of the better running quarterbacks in the league as well. So him being a dual threat quarterback the way that he is, with that big frame and that cannon of an arm that can Jesus, what is it, 40, 50 cal he's got there on his shoulder? It's insane what he can do with that arm, man. Yeah, so Army, Navy, Vandy repping the military this year. Shout out to the military. For those of you who did not know, I served the United States Army. I actually trained 1 year in the delayed entry program for the Marine Corps, so I got a lot of training there underneath the Marine Corps umbrella. Got me into great shape, and then I ended up going to actually to the Army, where I was in great shape. I graduated, but I got discharged because of a lower leg injury, so it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I really enjoyed my time. I learned a lot over 100 days total of just pure training, just pure military training. It was an absolute just mind bender of knowledge that the military possesses and all the things that they're developing and whatnot. So I have a lot of love for the military. I do my community service actually with the military and the vet program that we have down here. So shout out to Liberty Manor and all of those guys down there. We love you guys, and we support our military, and we will continue to support the military. So love you guys. Thank you for what you do. Let's see what else we got right here. They showcased the 84 Gator team at halftime. Oh yeah, that was, man, you're taking it back. That 84 Gator team was something special, wasn't it? That was the success that we found before Steve Spurrier. And I think that's one of the things that people have to really take into consideration. you got to know your Gator history, right? Because Spurrier played in the 60s. So he played and then he came back and he was coaching. But in between those periods, the Gators actually had some successful teams throughout the 70s and the 80s. So just take that in consideration when you think about the Gators. Very storied college, actually one of the older colleges out there as far as sports is concerned. They weren't always good at football, but there were definitely sports that the Florida Gators did find success in. And then, of course, when football found its way here to Florida, we became a very prominent college and one of the more storied colleges in college sports. So love my Florida Gators. Can't say enough positivity about them. Will Texas suffer a letdown after Georgia? Well, it goes back to the conversation that we had, Dad. And for the record, guys, just so you guys know, my theory behind Texas like struggling against Georgia was that this is Texas' first time in the SEC. This is the first time where every game is World War II, and that's the reference that I use. And when you're not in the SEC, you literally just don't play a ranked team every week. I just illustrated the Florida Gators' next 4 games, and mind you, at one point in time, Kentucky, I believe, was ranked. So when you take that into consideration, guys, you're playing a ranked team every week, if not every other week in the SEC, not every 3 to 4 weeks, and that's one of the things that really, separates the SEC from the other ranks. And I knew Texas would struggle with that just because they have a lot of weight on their shoulders too, right? Like they're ranked 1. The expectation is a national championship. They can still get there, but it's going to be hard. Now they need help, and that's the problem in the SEC. I mean, going undefeated is the answer, and even going undefeated doesn't guarantee you an SEC championship. There have been times where we've seen an undefeated West or an East team come in and play the opposite of that, which has a single loss or 2 losses, and then boom, that team wins, and it's chaos ensues, right? And we've seen that with the Gators, we've seen that with Georgia, we've seen that with Alabama, LSU, we've seen that with Auburn. All of those teams went to national championships and won SEC titles. So keep that in consideration, guys, when you're thinking about the SEC. I really appreciate that, Aaron. No worries. And not just myself, actually. So my uncle, Master Gunnery Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, did 30 years. Both of my cousins, I have twin cousins, Richard and Robert, they served in the United States military. My mom actually went into the Army for a few weeks, so she got a medical discharge. Dad was officer candidate Navy. A lot of military personnel. My grandfather, his brother as well. There's just a ton of military personnel in the family, and barring injury, of course, I probably wouldn't even be doing this right now. I'd probably still be in the Army, to be honest with you. But it is what it is. God does things the way that he does them, and I'm here. So, no complaints there. But of course, shout out to, again, our military. We love them and for everything that they do. All right, so let's go ahead and move on, guys. Let's get on over to the next topic, which is going to be the Noles football. So we're going to kind of breeze through this a little bit. These two teams have to play each other, the Noles and the Canes, as that actually beckons closer. It's not going to be a game. It's going to be a massacre. So if you guys have ever seen, you guys ever play a scary game? I'll give you a few examples. Silent Hill, Dead Space, Resident Evil. What's another good? Dead Before Daylight. All these games that involve scary is because you know that there's a big bad insert adjective, description, polishing, definition, whatever you want to put in there. You know that is there and that you are ill-equipped to deal with that. That's essentially what makes a scary game, right? Like, think about it. If you're overpowered, what are you scared of? Nothing. But when the element is there, when the element of unpredictability is there, that's when you get scared. Well, what's unpredictable is the score, not who's going to win. Miami's going to win this game. And a matter of fact, I'm going to quote somebody from 1993 during the Miami Hurricanes and Alabama Crimson Tide national championship game. Miami's going to win the Sugar Bowl, and I'm not even sure who they're playing. It's probably going to be about 48-0. It'll probably be about 64-0 Miami at this rate. I mean, Cam Ward's got an absolute cannon for an arm. He doesn't get rattled at all. The guy is just the coolest thing since the pillow was invented. And 64, 50, 56, 64, somewhere around that ballpark is when I'm 63, 50, somewhere around there. I don't even see Miami kicking field goals at this point. Miami's going to run away with this game. There's nothing that they can do to stop them from this happening. They could not show up, I suppose. Okay, that was a little rude. I get it, but I'm a Gator, so it is what it is, guys. Cry your heart out there, Knowles. But you guys are 1-6. You're getting ready to play 7-0 Miami, ranked 6 Miami. You guys lost to Duke. You had a chance to win that game, but you lost. That game was on Friday. It was 23-16. So if you missed it on Saturday, that's why it was a Friday game. That was the first time Duke has ever beaten Florida State in Duke's college football history, by the way. Had to make it a little emotional, so I had to downtone a little bit. But, guys, that was the first time Duke has ever beaten Florida State. Embarrassing. Like I said, next game is going to be against Miami. That game's Saturday, October 26, 7 p.m. Why they made it a 7 p.m. start time, I don't know. Massacre should be done in the middle of the day, not at nighttime. That's my opinion. But, hey, we'll see what happens. Speaking of Miami, they are fresh off of a victory over Louisville in an absolute shootout dogfight. You guys ever played that video game that what's the flying game? Some Flying Aces, I think is what it was called. Guys, y'all remember that game? It was one of those. It was just a non-stop air raid altercation between two high-flying offenses, and Miami came out on top. Now, I told y'all last week that was not going to be an easy game. Louisville's playing really good football, sitting at 4-2 right there. Now they're not 4-3, but I mean, hats off to Louisville, guys. You guys played a hell of a game. Super proud of what you guys were able to do. A couple of plays go differently, and you guys are defeating number 6 ranking undefeated Miami. So I look forward to seeing Miami versus Clemson at this point, I believe it is. But this Knowles game just seems like a massacre. And again, massacre should be in the middle of the day, not at nighttime. So just do with that what you will, guys. I'm not a fan of I want to talk about that for a second. I'm not a fan of late start times for games that just have no definition. Why do we need a prime time ranked 6 Miami game against a bottom 20 college football team right now? Florida State is just in such a level of disarray right now that I've never seen this. I've been alive for 30 years, and I've been watching college football for 26 of them. I've never seen Florida State this bad ever in my life. And it scares me a little bit. It does scare me a little bit because eventually they're going to come out and they're going to be good again. And I don't want to get trapped in that mindset. The Florida Gators are going to be Florida State for the next 15 years. That's a dangerous thought process. Realistically speaking, what the Noles need is Jesus. That's what they need, guys. They need Jesus. The healing, the prayer, the whole 9 yards, okay? There's nothing that this franchise can do right now in the ACC, and they're losing the teams that they've never lost to before, like SMU and Duke. So I can't say it enough, but I hate that they put these games on primetime because there are going to be a lot of people watching this Florida State team, and there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be asking the same questions we're asking this evening. So just take that into consideration and do what you will with that information, guys. Let's double check on the chat again real quick. So, Vandy, yeah. So Vandy was ranked back in 2013. I think that was the lone season that they had that stud running back. I can't remember what his name was, man, but they had them a little stud running back that year, and they played some really good college football. But yeah, FSU is a complete fiasco. State University. I see what you did there. Miami definitely wins. It's not going to be a fair game. If you guys ever seen like Cocaine Bear, that's a terrible movie, by the way. If you ever seen that movie, it's gonna be like that. Like the bear's just gonna go crazy, and there's nothing that anybody can do to stop it. Okay, so that's just how that's gonna go, guys. Moving on over to the NBA, guys. Let's talk the Miami Heat, shall we? So with the Heat, getting ready to start their season, super excited for the NBA season to be back in full swing. Last year, Miami kind of ended on a bad note. We're dealing with injuries, a lot of injuries. Orlando really took advantage of being, young, strong, and fast with great transition. And I think that was the reason why Orlando had the better season of the two teams, I would say, especially since there really weren't any expectations for this team. We knew they were going to be young. We didn't think they were going to be that good, that fast, and yet they are. And the reason why I'm talking about both of these teams collectively is because they're going to play each other in the first game of the season. Both of these teams coming off victories off their respective games, both scoring 114 points. The Miami Heat scored 114 points against the Grizzlies. Grizzlies 109 for that victory. That was the last preseason game for them. As same thing with the Orlando Magic, who beat the 76ers 114-99. Great defensive performance by those guys. the name of the game is score more than get to triple digits, keep the other team for triple digits. Same thing in football. The trick for football is get plus 20, keep them under 20, right? On average, that will get you a winning record and a playoff berth. But in basketball, it's going to take a little bit more, and I think that's something that's going to rear its not so ugly face there in this game, because both the Orlando Magic and the Miami Heat are going to play each other in the first game of the season. I think this is a great first game. I fully intend to watch the game, and I can't wait to see it. That game's going to come to you Wednesday, October 23rd, 7:30 p.m., guys, primetime Wednesday. So make sure you clear off whatever it is that you had going on there. Check this game out. This game is going to be could very well be a first-round Eastern matchup in the playoffs. So just take that in consideration when you look at these two teams. Orlando is very, very young. Miami is very diverse. The age group is just vast for this team. Orlando, like I said, one of the youngest teams in the NBA right now. They had hopes on getting Klay Thompson, weren't able to get that, but they, again, have drafted extremely well over the last 3 years, 4 years, and we're starting to see the fruits from the labor. I fully suspect both these teams to make the playoffs. I fully suspect Orlando to have the higher seed, especially at the performance last year, and I look forward to seeing Paulo and Franz and all those guys just balling for Orlando. Dad, shout out to your Magic. They looked great last year, and I just fully expect them to look good this year. Jimmy Buckets are going to have the Miami Heat in good shape. I just think that they need to continue to build their offense around him and let him facilitate. And as long as that they do that, it really doesn't matter who else is on the court with him. They'll be able to find success. Hopefully they have more help on the court for him, though, because I hate seeing him being a one-man band when he is a much better team player than it is when he plays by himself. That's just my opinion, but we'll have to see what happens moving forward. Yeah, man. Category 5 Hurricane getting that national championship this year. I'd love to see it. The problem is he's going to have to face SEC team. That's really going to be what the question is are they going to be able to hang with a fully polished SEC team sometime down the end of the season? The question is, what team is it going to be? It's looking like it's either going to be Texas or Georgia, but we'll have to wait and see, guys. We'll have to wait and see. Excuse me there. Orlando will be better this year. That's a tough take, Dad. And the reason why I say that's a tough take is they were great last year. Again, there were no expectations, but to say that they performed good is an understatement. They were great. They, playoff berth. Like I said, Paulo just looks like an all-star. The kid just looks like one of the maybe top 10 players in the NBA right now. And if he continues to play that way, I think, of course, they will get better. But how much better can they get, right? Because, again, playoff berth played very, very well. Beat the Celtics multiple times last year. Celtics went on to win the national championship. The NBA Finals. So they will be better, but I don't know how much better because they're already a great team. And I love that for Orlando. So congratulations again, Orlando. Dodgers 6 met 3, top of the 6. Well, Mom's not going to like that. Come on, Dodgers. I mean, I like both these teams. I honestly don't care who wins. I would probably prefer the Dodgers, but honestly, if it was the Mets, I wouldn't be upset either. Yeah, I don't. At this point, I don't even think it's most likely. I think it is Miami versus Clemson for ACC title this year. I just don't see any other teams really doing what either one of those two teams are doing. I've always had faith in Dabo Swinney and those Clemson Tigers, and they're finally putting it all together. Shout out Clemson for what they're doing over there in the Carolinas, but Miami. Clemson looks like that's what it's going to be for the ACC title. And it's going to be a good game, man. If anybody can do it, Clemson can. But that's it. That's the only team that I really have faith in as far as that to be concerned. But, yeah, that's what's going on there for the NBA, guys. Let's move on over to the MLS brand that we have to talk about, guys. Of course, the very best player in all of soccer plays for Inter Miami. His name is Messi, and he scored 3 goals. Like that. I love it. It's because I said that I was going to buy his gear at Walmart. That's why he did it. It's the truth. Don't hold me back. Okay. Don't hold me back. He heard what I said. Good job, Messi. Inter Miami, 22-4 be the record for this team. Good enough for number 1 in the MLS, scoring 74 points. To put them at number 1 in all of soccer right now. So this team is just absolutely humming. Best team. Who are they going to play for championship? Basically, is the question we're asking. Again, same reference as before. I don't see anybody beating this team, and then if they do, good. good job. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but realistically, I just don't see anybody beating Inter Miami. Orlando City playing great soccer right now, but as good as they're playing, I don't see that they can do it either. That's going to leave it up to a few other teams. Right now, there's Charlotte, who they were climbing. You had Cincinnati was playing very well, but realistically speaking, I don't see anybody beating Inter Miami. I think it's Miami's championship to lose this year, and they're playing tremendous soccer behind a tremendous Messi with, again, 3 goals against New England. New England, not a good team. 9-21 be the record for that team. They lost 6-2. Messi. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, best team in soccer, guys. It is what it is. Next game to be determined. That's going to be Friday, October 25th, 8:30 p.m. We got to see who wins. I think it's between the Charlotte and the Charlotte Orlando City game. We'll see what happens. I regardless of that, again, I don't see anybody beating Inter Miami. Inter Miami best team. I'm going to keep saying that too because I'm kind of spitting that out into the universe. I want them to win it all, and I really hope that they do. But again, we'll see what happens. So like I said, next game to be determined, Friday, October 25th, 8:30 p.m. It's not the same thing for Orlando City. Orlando City lost their last game against Atlanta United 2-1. Very unfortunate loss there for them, kind of halting the momentum they had. I think they had won 4 in a row before that, so sitting at 15-12 right now, be their record. Atlanta improves to 10-14. Of course, they do not have a playoff berth, so unfortunately for them, it doesn't make a difference whether they won that game or not. But Charlotte sitting at 14-12, 14-11 is going to be a very, very interesting game, and I look forward to seeing that game. But the winner of that should continue to move on, and the loser will be ending their season. So unless Orlando City wants to go back home and sit there and watch Miami for the rest of the year, they are going to have to beat Charlotte. That game is going to be Sunday, October 27th, 7:30 p.m. Guys, get ready for that game. But hey, at the end of the day, it's still Major League Soccer. There's still something for us to be excited about. So I'm looking forward to seeing both of these teams do. But again, like I said, all my faith is in Miami. How could it not be? I mean, it's clear that they know what they're doing, and that, again, Messi is that guy. Again, 3 goals. You can't say enough about it. The guy's been on an absolute tear since returning from injury. So congratulations to Messi. Glad to have you back. Good luck, Orlando City, against Charlotte. I think you guys can win, but you're going to have to put that last game behind you against Atlanta. That 2-1 loss hurts. I know it does, but guys, try to find the success there. And if you guys can do that, you guys will continue to move forward. Best of luck to those guys. Hey, listen, guys, we went over an hour, guys. That's kind of what I wanted to do, testing out this theory that I have for having a longer show, perhaps making a better show. But hey, thank you guys for joining me here on Palm Tree Sports Radio. It's been my pleasure to be able to come to you and, just give you these updates. Of course, things are still kind of making their way around town, I guess you could say, with the return, of course, of basketball and hockey. So as things continue to get on, we'll have more and more to talk about there as that is concerned. But I'm excited. I love basketball and I love hockey. I think that both of our teams, as far as hockey is concerned, with the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning, are both in great shape. I think they're going to be fine moving forward. But again, once we get back into the realm of more forward-playing hockey, we will discuss that more and more and more, as we are with football and as we did with baseball. I look forward to seeing you guys next week, same time, same place. You guys get a head start on the weekend. Let's have ourselves, or a good week, I should say. I say get a head start on the weekend. This is the end of the weekend. I don't want to go to work tomorrow, but I will be, much like the most of you will be as well. But again, my pleasure. I'm glad to have you guys. I really hope that you have a blessed week moving forward. Get some rest, and if you're in Florida, get ready. Weather's going to be going back and forth again. So, check your weather calendar. Yada, yada, yada. Just being a big brother here. Same time, same place next week, Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking about everything, all things sports in the Sunshine State. And I'll try to sprinkle a little bit more detail about what is happening with hockey next week as well, guys. So you have my word on that. And I look forward to seeing you guys. Take care. Have a wonderful week. Until next time, I've been Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, is brought to you in part by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Take care and peace, guys.